This year marks a milestone for the Hawaii AIDS Walk. I'm Brooke Lee, and Friends for Life celebrates not only the 30th anniversary of the annual event, but the support and strength of the community behind it. The first cases of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, more commonly known as AIDS, surfaced in the early 80s and quickly spread across the nation, including here in Hawaii. Thanks to a group of advocates, a movement to bring awareness to the deadly disease began, a group of everyday citizens working together to address the crisis. We're here with Dr. David McEwen and Mr. Jack Law, owner of Hula's Bar and Lay Stand. Hello, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations to 30 years of Life Foundation, H3RC, and you two are really sort of like the founding lifeblood of the whole endeavor, especially you, Dr. David McEwen. Can you tell us about the first time you had diagnosed an AIDS HIV patient here in Honolulu?
Well, first of all, at the time, there was no word like AIDS, and so we didn't use that word. But around 80, 81, I was experiencing patients in my regular family practice with people with swollen lymph glands, and it was really peculiar, and sometimes it was quite significant. And when I would send them off to a specialist, they had no answer for me. And then I heard about a doctor by the name of Dr. Donald Abrams, who was UCSF Moffitt Hospital doing his fellowship with Dr. Varmus. And I referred my patient over to him. And a couple months later, I went over to talk with the doctor. And he said to me, I think this disease is caused by an HTLV virus. I believe it's sexually transmitted. I believe it's terminal. And I know right now there's no treatment for it. And he said, take that information with you back to Hawaii and use it in whatever you're going to do back there. But I said, we've got to use this as a disease, and we've got to use common sense, and we also got to be very innovative.
Right.
And so we were innovative, and we brought together a lot of wonderful people in the community here in Hawaii, both from the LGBT community and from the heterosexual community. And we had our first board of directors meeting at Jack's dining room table. And that's when the whole group got together legally and started deciding what needed to be done in the way of support service, healthcare service, referral service, and it was a huge, huge project. The number of people involved was amazing. They were all volunteers, 100%. We had no money, and everybody was working very hard, and they were all heroes at an unbelievable level.
And this, at the time, you guys called yourselves the Life Foundation.
Right.
And you were even ahead of the prevalence of, there was no HIV/AIDS. It hadn't been named yet even. So you guys were dealing with a disease that had really no face, no name, but you knew about it in the community. What was it like for you guys in the community when you were seeing what was going on?
Well, first of all, when David first asked me to be on the board for HIV, or whatever we called it at the time, my first inclination was to resist it, because I thought, this is the mainland's problem. This isn't the problem that's going to happen in Hawaii. But I thought to myself, if I don't get involved and something happens over here, I'll never forgive myself. So that's how I got involved. But it wasn't very long before all of a sudden people that I knew and were very close to were getting ill and dying. And we were alone. There was nobody there to help us. We were all business people that were on the board, or people that were active in the community one way or another. And we had a whole life, and we had to run this organization because we had no funds, no money, no nothing. And our friends were getting very, very ill around us, which was very stressful.
So at this time, it was a phantom disease that didn't have a name. You guys were in the community fighting this thing with no real support. What was it like when you were trying to explain something that's unexplainable to the community?
Well, we used just the simple model of a virus. People have cold, they have the flu. It's a very different virus because it has nothing to do with the breathing process, it's like COVID and that kind of stuff. It has to do with sexual activity. And so you really have to initiate what we called at the time safe sex guidelines, which a lot of people thought was kind of like crazy. That's, I'm not going to change my life. It's kind of like, I'm sorry, you have to. You got to use condoms, or you got to be monogamous, or You've got to abstain 100%. That's how you that's how you don't get this disease. And it's not difficult. This is not rocket science. Just work on your behaviors.
And so for you, Jack, when you're out in the community as a business owner, right, this is your community, really, that's getting hit the hardest. What was your observation? How was it for you at the time?
Well, first of all, it was very much of a mystery. And I not only owned hulas at the time, I owned a Wave Waikiki. And Wave Waikiki was a live entertainment venue, and it stayed open to 4 o'clock. And everybody went. And there came a point, nobody was at the Wave anymore, or just gay people at the Wave, because people were so paranoid about this mystery disease. They didn't know if you could get it by someone sweating on you on the dance floor or breathing on you or whatever. So all of a sudden, we had this place that was very, very popular. Many people were there every night to nobody.
So now that we're in a different time, fast forward to the corona pandemic that we're slowly crawling out of, what sort of parallels can you see between what happened then and what's happening now, and the fact that HIV and AIDS is still a pandemic of sorts? There is no cure still, but there is the education. What would you tell the young community that is out there that has gone now through this pandemic?
Well, the comparison is, there's so many comparisons right now. Back in the AIDS epidemic, the government didn't get involved for 7 years before they started funding anything. The beginning of the COVID crisis, our political leadership in the nation were incompetent, and they didn't do things right, and now we've got this horrible problem. Knowledge equals power, action equals life, silence equals death.
That's very, very true. And so, Jack, what would you say to the new generation who didn't live through what you lived through?
Well, first of all, I want to say the difference between COVID and HIV is the word choice, because nobody thinks that anybody chose to get COVID. But with HIV, back then, it was people truly believed that being LGBT was a choice, which is a myth. Then therefore you deserve to have HIV. Today, I have one person that I know personally that died of COVID, and he lived on the mainland. He was a very close friend of mine. He was 78 years old. Before, there were people who were dying. We were going to multiple funerals a month, and these people were in the prime of their lives. What I got to say to people, young people now, is don't take your health for granted.
You should never forget, AIDS and COVID are 100% preventable. Use your brain.
Yes, it's the science.
Duh. Yes, it's very simple. It's public health guidelines, and they exist, and they change a little bit, but not a lot. Depends on the bug.
Thank you guys so much for all that you've done. I mean, without your early knowledge and putting out all of the education, we wouldn't have been able to celebrate 30 years of H3RC and the Life Foundation and all of the work and lives, really.
Hawaii is so far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your groundbreaking work. Every year, the movement gained more and more support from the community. What started as hundreds taking their message to the streets of Honolulu turned into thousands 3 decades later. The AIDS Walk continues strong, but a lot has changed. We'll be right back.
I've personally supported the Honolulu AIDS Walk and Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center for many years. I'm excited for Kaimana Beach Hotel to be a sponsor and support our local LGBTQ+ community and their ohana. Our staff are passionate about helping people. The values of the Honolulu AIDS Walk and supporting everyone in the community aligns with the values and inclusive culture we have here at the hotel. Kaimana has been a special place for locals to come for many years, and we hope locals continue to come for many more. While the walk is virtual this year, we welcome participants to celebrate here at Kaimana, and will continue to welcome them in the many years to come.
Welcome back. We're marking the 30th anniversary of the Honolulu AIDS Walk. The Life Foundation started the AIDS Walk back in 1991. Fast forward to today, and you can imagine the changes for the LGBTQIA+ community and the state of Hawaii. So we're here with Kunani Dreyer, who is elderly statesman of the AIDS Walk, if you will. and good personal friend, and Andrew Ogata, who runs the AIDS Walk and works with H3RC. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So we are here at, I guess you would call it the foundational area of the AIDS Walk all of these years. So take us down a trip of memory lane for the beginnings of the AIDS Walk.
Well, when I think about for myself and the walk, as a community member, as somebody from the country in Hauula coming into Honolulu, this was like the big event. And although the walk was designed as a fundraiser and to raise awareness around HIV and AIDS, it brought our community together. There would be thousands of people here, and we would picnic, we would walk, we would try to raise money, and it'd be 7 p.m. and we'd still be here having a good old time, a really good time. And that was what the walk became for me through all these years. And I've been to a few of them, but I won't number them.
A few. And so Andrew, on the sort of other end of the spectrum, you came in a little later than our elderly statesman here. And so what has it evolved over the years for the organization?
Yes, so I came in a little bit later. I started attending the walk in 2007. So I came as a volunteer. I worked for one of the fundraising teams, MAC Cosmetics, who has always been a big supporter of the Honolulu AIDS Walk, and I came in as a volunteer. And it was just amazing. I was a young, not even 21-year-old gay boy, and saw this whole community around me, and it was amazing. And so it really shined a light, I feel like, on the issue of HIV in our community and how it could affect us still.
And so, it's a heavy topic. We are raising money for an important cause. But in the same time, because the community is what it is, you put a face on it that was very festive and joyous because it was about celebrating life as it was being lived and saving of lives through the raising of money. Do you want to talk a little bit about what it was like for people here and what the environment felt like?
It was really a fun day. We would be here cackling and laughing and reminiscing. We would have volleyball going. Just a circle, just a bunch of people celebrating, as you said, life, celebrating each other, right? Who we are and everything like that. And yes, the topic is heavy, right? HIV and AIDS. And for many of us, we experienced the dark side of that. And now we're in this new space with treatment and things like that have changed how people see it, how people see HIV. But we still come together as a community to have fun, to celebrate, to gather. You have to be here to experience it. I invite you to come sit under our tent one year, because there's no way to tell you exactly what's going to come out of our mouths at that time and the laughter that's going to happen.
And so now, you fast forward to the now times. We're in pandemics or coming out of a different type of pandemic. And the AIDS Walk has had to sort of change its purview. What is it going to look like now? Because you can't congregate and joyously be under tents together and be that rallying of a community for such an important cause. What's the new norm going to be like?
The new norm right now is us trying to honor the 30-year history of the Honolulu AIDS Walk. 1991 was the very first walk, and we're really just trying to do our best to honor it safely. So we've gone virtual this year, so we're inviting our community to still have that joyous remembrance of Honolulu AIDS Walk, but do it safely on their own. A lot of teams are going to be coming to Kapiolani Park and walking on their own in groups and posting pictures and asking everyone to tag us, send us your pictures of you walking with your friends, doing the track around Kapiolani Park for the Honolulu AIDS Walk. We're asking people to still register, honoluluaidswalk.org, and that way we can still keep track of who's still with us and who's still supporting us.
And so, just so we're clear, there won't be any official AIDS Walk people here. They'll be here in spirit. But people are going to come down here because this really is a touchstone. The Kapilani Bandstand and this whole Kapilani Park area really was like your guys' sort of touchstone. Every year people could count on coming down here for the AIDS Walk, right?
Yes, the park would be filled with, we had not just community members coming to hang out and the friends and family, but then businesses and the companies that supported, right? Sponsors would have booths, and we had food. It was everything. And so, no, that won't be here this year, but you know, we are a resilient group of people, and we still can do that on our own. We're doing it in our office at Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center with our teams to try to keep it as the same as we possibly can through what we've done. And we're looking forward to next year to being back here at the park with everybody and the thousands of people and the community and all the celebration that comes with it. It's been a long journey, and we know just because of the pandemic, it's not gonna be done.
Well, thank you both for being here with us and for holding it down all these years with the AIDS Walk. It may be a different AIDS Walk, but it's still happening because it's the 30th and it must be marked for sure. And then we'll be able to gather again next year under the tents and all the regalia, as it were.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys both for being here.
Thank you so much, Brooke.
If you'd like to show your support for this year's virtual event, log on to honoluluaidswalk.org. The Life Foundation created a platform to raise AIDS awareness with the goal of curbing the impact of HIV in Hawaii. Since its creation, it's evolved, and in 2018 merged with the CHOW Project to create the Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center. We're here with Lieutenant Governor Dr. Josh Green and Executive Director of Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, Heather Lusk. Hi, you guys, welcome.
Hi.
Great
Thank
to be
you so much for being here. We're gonna dive right in to talk about the important work that you guys have been doing. Let's talk about the legislative factor in all of this, because it's been a long road. And what are some of the challenges that you guys have seen through the years?
Well, there's been an incredible story about HIV/AIDS in our country and in our state. And for many decades, people didn't know what we were dealing with. But the leadership back in the 90s had insight, and they were so smart. They passed legislation which was groundbreaking, for example, to have a needle exchange program. And what that needle exchange program meant was that people who had drug addiction or using needles for heroin and other drugs, they were able to exchange them and get clean needles. So we didn't have transmission of HIV/AIDS like they have all across the country and all across the globe. And then there have been ups and downs with funding and the program. When I was in the legislature, I remember years when the budget was tighter and people maybe turned their back on the support we needed to prevent HIV/AIDS from progressing. So sometimes we didn't have enough money to help support medications for people who otherwise didn't have insurance. So these are the kind of hurdles that we had over the years, but for the most part, we've had such great leadership, we've been able to advocate for the right laws.
So because we're talking about the needle exchange program, Heather Lusk, Executive Director, so you started with the program as in charge of the needle exchange program?
Yeah, so the CHOW Project was started in 1989, so we just hit our 32-year anniversary here in Hawaii. And we were the first statewide syringe access program in the entire country. The first one was in Seattle, Tacoma area, but we were the first statewide. And as Lieutenant Governor said, it really was responsible, according to the Department of Health, for some of the low numbers, particularly in women and in children. So we've really seen it be effective. And last year we exchanged 1.2 million syringes statewide. So that was 1.2 million times that HIV could have been transmitted and wasn't. Instead, those folks brought those syringes back to us.
Right. And so what are some of the services that H3RC are offering now?
So we offer free point of care, both HIV and hepatitis C testing. As LG mentioned, hepatitis C is also very common in some of the communities that we serve. Sexually transmitted disease testing, which we're taking all of these out onto the road with our new medical mobile unit that was blessed yesterday. We provide behavioral health, such as Suboxone for people struggling with opioid use disorder. We provide treatments for hepatitis, HIV, STDs. We have a wound care program and a really growing behavioral health program. So what we found, similar to what LG said, is that by treating the whole person, we then needed to add in mental health, substance use, and now we're doing a lot more around houselessness because these issues also affect people living with HIV and at risk for HIV. All of our services are free, and they can go to hhhrc.org to find out more and to find out a schedule for where we're doing different things in the community.
So let's talk about what I like to call the younger generation, who's grown up in, thanks to a lot of your hard work, an AIDS community that is normalized, and it's not as much of a pandemic as it used to be, but the importance of the awareness is still there. What would you say to the new generation that's coming up who may not think that it is as serious of an issue as it used to be?
Well, especially because at least nationwide, they see almost half of new HIV infections in those under 30. So why in Hawaii we don't have quite that high, we still have a growing number of young people testing positive, according to the Department of Health. So it's knowing that if you get tested, that there's things you can do. And so it's really getting that access to testing and breaking the stigma around talking about this issue, which is why we're going to be taking the point of care or 2-minute test into the community with our medical mobile unit, because again, we want folks to get tested, because if you know, there's lots that you can do. So just talk about it and also know about the PrEP. PrEP, again, is a very effective way to prevent HIV, and there's regular testing involved with that. So we also really encourage people to learn more about PrEP, and again, they can get free through HHRC.
And then from the government side, because we're coming out of another type of pandemic with the coronavirus, lots of people need help in all areas across the board. With the government's help, how do you think that's all going to be able to get balanced?
Well, I would say, unlike any era ever before, because of COVID, we're more focused as a society on viruses, although, of course, the COVID virus is extraordinarily different from the HIV/AIDS virus. But more people are focused on public health, the dynamics between people, between groups. No one is invulnerable. And so we've really beefed up what we will do in government on public health like you've never seen before. And so I think it'll be to our benefit as a society, having gone through and survived this pandemic. But there were pandemics before that we've had to weather and that were devastating to people that we love, and that was HIV/AIDS. The next generation knows what a virus is. They may still need some lessons from Heather and team, but we're equipped to do it.
Well, thank you guys both for being here with us today. Congratulations on 30 years of wonderful work. It's important what you guys do. All hands on deck, as they say. So mahalo so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brooke.
If you'd like to learn more about the Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center, log on to their website, hhhrc.org. Advocacy and support came from multiple facets of the community, including the music industry. We'll sit down with local singer and songwriter Henry Kapono, who shares the story through song. We're here with Henry Kapono, who is, a treasure here in the islands, if you will. And there's a song that you wrote called Friend for Life, which was very important to Life Foundation and the AIDS Walk. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what the idea behind the song, how it all came about?
I got a call. I was in Chicago recording at a studio, and I got a call from Brickwood Galateria, and he was telling me about that his brother was had AIDS, and he was just really feeling down and out, and called me and said, if there's something I can, write a song or something, he just needed something. I could feel his, what he was feeling about his brother, because I know the family from Kauai Church. We used to go to church together. I said, well, let me see what I can do. And so actually I was so inspired that I just started writing. And then I called him back in about 15, 20 minutes. I said, I think I got a song. And I played it for him, and he just kind of was silent right after I played it. I said, you okay? He just thought it was beautiful.
So were you involved with Life Foundation before you wrote the song?
Yeah, I was. I think Paul Grossbeck, was a founder. The first year he started the foundation. Somehow we met and we talked for a little bit, and I was familiar with AIDS and what he was doing at the time. And I said, well, I'd love to support you any way I can. So I guess I just supported the Life Foundation and got to know more about it, and found out that it's serious stuff. And I've had friends that have passed with AIDS. I just feel it in my heart to do something. And then when Brickwood called, that kind of song came out. So.
And the song has been so important to Life Foundation because you let them use the song for their own purposes with, you know, promotion and raising money for the organization. And it kind of became their banner song for a little while because of probably your feelings behind when you wrote it for Scotty. Do you think you'd be able to perform it for us today?
Yeah, would love to.
Awesome. Thank you for being a part of the special, and thank you for sharing that music with all those people and, you know, bringing so much hope to everybody.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know, I'm just glad I can be inspired by and do something good.
Well, thank you, Hawaii, for being a part of this special with us here. 30 years of the AIDS Walk here at the Kapilani Bandstand. Take it away, Henry.
With you, I feel so happy inside. I can look life in the eyes and smile with you. With you, I know you'll always be there. I know you're someone who cares. I can feel it in my heart when I'm with you. I've got a friend in you, a friend forever. I've got a friend for life. I've got a friend in you, a friend forever. I've got a friend for life. With love, we can conquer the world. We can find the cure for it all. You and I, with love. I've got a friend in you, a friend forever. I've got a friend for life. I've got a friend in you, a friend forever. I've got a friend for life. And I know that time will come and go. I know that life will carry on. I'm not alone in this will to live. There's a lot more love we can give. Whoa, got a friend in you, a friend forever. I've got a friend for life. I've got a friend in you, a friend forever. I've got a friend in you. For life. For life, I've got a friend for life.